What's up, everybody? Welcome to Among the Fence. My name is Aaron. Today we're checking out the new album Spiral in a Straight Line by the post-hardcore band Touche Amore. This is their sixth studio album since they formed in 2007, along with bands like La Dispute and Defeater that came out in the wave movement of the 2000s. Touche Amore stood out by being described as an anthemic, melodic, post-hardcore band. They really started to come into their own, at least in my eyes, in 2013 when they released their third studio album, Is Survived By, which showed more mature and personal lyrics and also a stronger performance from vocalist Jeremy Baum. And their songwriting greatly improved with longer tracks that showed more growth as musicians and also their ability to be more creative. And then in 2016, they released what I feel like is one of the best post-hardcore albums of all time, titled Stage 4, which is not only their fourth studio album named appropriately, it is also inspired by the lyrics in the album, which are based around the passing of Jeremy's mom, who died in 2014 from cancer while he was on stage, which would be in a just unbelievably emotional moment for him. The opening track, Flowers and You, really sets the theme for the record as it goes over just feelings of regret, not knowing what to do or handle the situation, and also taking things for granted. It is accompanied by glimmering chords that show gentleness, along with some really aggressive moments that show frustration. And to me, this is one of the greatest songs that they've ever written as well. Then they released their previous album, which came out in 2020, titled Lament, which is all about the grieving process. And he shows a lot of appreciation to friends and family members who helped out, especially while he was going through different tragedies and really working through these moments. And not only does he show gratitude for people who helped out, he also shows the pain and just the kind of awkwardness of people who, promised to be there, but then, on anniversaries and dates that really hurt him the most, they weren't there anymore. They kind of, you kind of move on and go on with your life. But unfortunately, these people like Jeremy, who went through this extreme loss, are still suffering, just because it's been 3 months, it doesn't mean his suffering has expired. And he really puts that in perspective. And basically throughout the entire discography, you could follow these musicians' life, which really left us wondering what was going to come next, especially after the aftermath of all the things that Jeremy went through. And then they announced Spiral in a Straight Line and dropped their first single, which is also the opening track, titled Nobodies. I believe that this song is about moving forward even while you're going through really tough times, where moving forward is honestly one of the best things you could possibly do. The hook and the chorus really stays with you even after the song's over, and the verses touches on sticking together and how we all kind of feel like we're faking it till we make it. I mean, it's something that we all do, even if you feel like you're the only one that's kind of has imposter syndrome and you're faking it till you make it. We're all in this together. Musically, I feel like this is pretty tame, and it just gives you a taste of what's to come. When I heard this song as a single, I definitely felt like it was lacking, but at the same time, Touche Amore does that with their singles. They just give you a little bit of something, and it's very vague about what the album's going to be about or anything like that, which I absolutely love. And then we got the second single, which is a little bit more aggressive, titled Hal Asbury, which is named after the movie director. The vocal delivery is very quick in the verse, while the chorus is just full of emotion thanks to vocal layerings and big chords. This is something that I kept going back to over and over again because I enjoyed it so much. The bridge has a very familiar sounding chord progression that I liked. It's almost a little too repetitive, but it's pretty addictive, so it kind of helps feed that addiction, the fact that it keeps going over and over again. And the first deep cut that we come across while listening to this album is Disasters, which is very aggressive, and it brings that Touche Amore kind of reckless, abandoned vibe to it. This is one of the cooler songs on the album as it just sounds so different. Again, it has really quick vocals in the verse and a lot of emotion, which makes it feel very frantic in that sense. It has a fast tempo and really quick riff, but this time the chorus is a lot less grounding as it's almost as intense as the verses. The bridge does give you just a couple seconds to catch your breath with its really fuzzy bass line, which sounds so cool, and its calm vocals and trebly guitar part. And because of this, I feel like this song stood out quite a bit, especially with the first couple listens. This is the one that really stuck to my memory more than any of them. Force of Habit has kind of a jazzy quality to it in the intro, probably thanks to Jeremy's fascination with the genre. The song goes over different types of tics and kind of like OCD things that are very hard for him to overcome and how it affects the people around him. And then we have the song Mezzanine, I believe that's how it's pronounced. Reminds me more of their traditional style of having just a constant riff, a constant drum pattern, and just vocals laid over them. The chorus has a really sick groove to it that I absolutely adored. I kept going back to it just because it felt like one of the more creative moments to me. It felt like something that they were just kind of grooving out on, and then it just kind of popped up amidst like a jam session or something. And they absolutely loved it, I'm sure, and threw it in there. They kind of repeat it in the bridge, but it's a lot slower, which this time around, it gives it more of like a feeling of floating. Altitude takes a little bit more of a vulnerable approach in the verse. Again, the chorus was just so unexpected, which is it's just such an enjoyable part of this band. Is they've gotten to the point as musicians and their creativity you just don't really know what's going to come next, which is really cool. If you listen to their earlier work and you go through their discography, there's a lot more surprises to be found throughout basically every single album. And I feel like this song could be considered the title track. It's got a really dark tone as he's going over how he has pretty much spiraled out of control with his struggle of depression. And then we have the song This Routine, which has a riff that'll put you in a trance as Jeremy is still dealing with taking things for granted and how he's so different, and he feels like the people around him are kind of leaving him behind. He's having a hard time keeping up, and this type of thought process, this negative way of thinking and comparison and kind of projecting in a sense, has become pretty much just a routine for him. Finalist is very chaotic thanks to the jarring riff and the screamy vocals. The chorus is fun with its instrumentation. It sounds a lot like it was formed out of a jam session once again. The lyrics are relatable about having a hard time adjusting to change and kind of asking for grace, but not just from people around him and friends and family and stuff, but he's asking for grace for himself. He needs to be able to give himself a chance to adjust to change and deal with the emotions that come with it. Then we have Subversion, which is also titled Brand New Love, which is kind of like the ballad on the album with gentle spoken vocals and crescendos accenting the strong emotions that keep popping up. It features Lou Barlow, whose clean vocals sound absolutely beautiful behind Jeremy's. This is probably one of the most creative tracks that I feel like they've ever written. The last minute of this thing is pure bliss. And then we have the song The Glue, which is very drum forward with its lead guitar melody matching the vocals. It's very relatable again in terms of how he is the friend that holds all of his friends together. He is the glue. And also he's kind of the one that reaches out to get these people together and to get other people to hang out with them. And I feel like we could all kind of relate to that. How, you know, we all have somebody in our life where we wouldn't hang out with them if we weren't the ones to initiate the hangout, and how he's kind of over it. He doesn't have enough energy to put energy into that anymore, and he's kind of tired of being the glue. The chorus feels like he's finally getting this off his chest, and the verses feel like a confrontation as you can hear the discomfort in his vocals. And that brings us to the closing track, Goodbye for Now, which sums up the feelings of saying goodbye to a friend that you feel like has moved on from you, and you guys have just grown out of touch, and you're kind of bitter about it because you wouldn't have if they put the same amount of effort into the friendship as you did. It features Julian Baker, and her performance in this is so freaking powerful, especially the vocalizations behind Jeremy's vocals in like the last 2 minutes of this song. There's just so much to take in from this song. You can get something new from it with each listen. And they also have like the live studio recording of this song on YouTube. I highly suggest you watch it because it's so good. It is so powerful. This might be one of my favorite songs they've ever written, right up there with Flowers and You. This album to me is pretty much perfect. It doesn't top Stage 4 thanks to, you know, its nostalgic feeling and just the very first time of really hearing them come into their own. But the raw emotion in this album is fantastic, and the way they've progressed with each album is pretty much flawless in my opinion. This is exactly what I would expect after Lament. Jeremy is healing. He's getting better. It's a lot easier to listen to. Sure, this is, there's some tough moments that he goes through in this album, and it still hits hard. But I mean, he's mentioned in the past that he doesn't want fans to start thinking, like, this guy's just sad. He's never going to be happy. But at the same time, I've heard the same thing kind of said about Adele a long time ago, many years ago, when she came out with Hello from the Outside. Fans were, saying she's never going to get over this relationship. The same thing that she's been singing about for, 6 years. She's just milking it. But to me, it's different with Jeremy because he's going through it. The death of his mom, the healing process and the grieving process of that. And now he's getting back on his feet and starting to realize certain things about himself that are toxic and other people that are toxic. And, he's maturing through these things instead of still focusing on something that happened 10, 15 years ago, which easily the passing of your mom, I would not blame him if he did whatsoever. There were only a few moments that I felt like were lacking in this album. They're few and far in between. Sure, sometimes it can sound a little, Touche Amore. It sounds like it sounds almost like a song that they've written in the past. But at the same time, they do have a lot of creative moments, some cool grooves, some really cool riffs that I enjoyed so much. And it's just, this album's just a blast. I love it. With all that said, I got to give Spiral in a Straight Line by Touche Amore at 8.5 out of 10. But I want to know what you guys think. I have a feeling this album is going to be pretty polarizing because they're not nearly as aggressive, and Jeremy's not quite as in your face in this album. A little bit more mature, a little bit more calm. So yeah, leave a comment below letting me know what you thought of Spiral in a Straight Line. Let me know what you would rate it and what your favorite song is. And also, if you enjoy this video, don't forget to give it a like. And if you want to help support me further than that, don't forget to subscribe and ring the bell icon. That way you don't miss out on any of my future reviews. And I just thank you guys so much for taking time out of your day to listen to me just sit here and talk about music. And I hope you have a good rest of your day or night whenever you happen to be watching this. And I will talk to you guys next time.